It was Valentine's Day, and everyone in the Dietz Maitland's house was celebrating it in their own way. Charles and Delia were upstairs, and they were having such a romantic time that it was causing the ceiling lamps to shake like crazy. Barbra and Adam were downstairs giving each other candies and teddy bears, and with Beetlejuice still staying at their house, he wanted to celebrate it with them. Even though it was a couple's holiday, it was still about love, and that's all that mattered to him. He wanted to find a way to say thank you for letting him in their family, but he didn't know how to do that until he went onto the back porch, which was actually more like a greenhouse. It was a room that the Maitlands had had before they died, and the Dietz were nice enough to let them keep it. Gardening was one of the hobbies that they had, and they must have loved it since the whole room was nothing but green, which made BJ think that it would be a great idea to make a bouquet for them with the flowers from their garden. As he was taking every colour he could find, he then found a big white rose bush that for some reason was given more attention. It had a big pink bow tied around the pot, along with a message on it saying, "Mummy and Daddy love you, Susie," which he thought was weird, but then he thought that it must be a human thing, so he cut some off as well. After getting what he needed, BJ skipped with joy to the kitchen. He couldn't wait to see the Maitlands' reaction when he found them. They were washing dishes, and while they were doing so, they were being cute, like flicking water from their fingertips and grabbing handfuls of bubbles and blowing them into each other's faces. While the demon watched this, he just rolled his eyes at how nerdy they were. Then he cleared his throat to get their attention. When they turned around, they could see he was shy, not knowing what to say along with hiding something behind his back. They were unsure if this was a prank.
I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for all the crap I've done. And to make it up to you, I wanted to give you guys a gift on this day of love. Here.
When he showed them the flowers, the look on the Maitland's face was not what he thought it would be. Barbra, who was holding a dish, dropped it, making it break into 100 pieces. Adam started to lose feeling in his legs, making him put one hand on the counter and the other on the chair so he wouldn't fall. He felt like he was going to throw up. When he finally kept it down, he looked at Beetlejuice right in the eyes and said,
"Beetlejuice, what did you do?"
Adam then ran up to him and tried to grab the flowers out of his hand. BJ got scared, not knowing what he did wrong. He tried to make a run for it, but for some reason, Adam got a hold of his shirt. When Barbra snapped out of her state of shock, she ran over and started hitting him. First he tried to kill her, and now this? As this was happening, the demon was in a sea of tears. He started having flashbacks, not understanding why they were going so crazy over some flowers. He wanted to get out so badly, leaving him no choice but to bite Adam's hand to get him to let go. When he did, BJ ran onto the roof, knowing that that was the only place he had where he could get away from everything. With all the craziness going on, Lydia went downstairs to see what was happening. She saw the Maitlands sitting on the floor, crying with flowers everywhere.
Are you okay? What happened?
Lydia, BJ hurt Susie.
Oh my god.
Didn't you tell him?
No, I thought you guys did.
We didn't. He should know that these roses mean something to us.
Well, I'm gonna go find him and tell him. Guys, I'm so sorry.
She said, heading off to the roof and leaving the Maitlands still in tears, until Adam got an idea.
Maybe he didn't cut them all. Maybe there are some left we can save.
Hearing that, Barbra started to have hope, so they ran to the back porch to find the bush. But when they found it, Barbra dropped to her knees and screamed louder than she ever did, which made more tears fall because what they found was a potted plant with no roses left. Meanwhile, on the roof, Beetlejuice was rolled into a ball, rocking back and forth and crying as well. He didn't understand why the Maitlands attacked him. Did they still have hate in their hearts for all the things he did? He said he was sorry. What else did they want? As he sat there alone with his thoughts and trying to understand, he suddenly heard Lydia calling him. He quickly got up and tried to find a place to hide, worried that she would yell at him too. Lydia looked around to find him, but she had no luck, so she headed back inside, thinking that maybe he was somewhere else. As she walked back to the window, BJ started to get a tickle in his throat, feeling the need to cough. He tried to hold it in until she left, but he couldn't. As soon as Lydia heard him, she ran to the sound and found her friend up against the wall of the house, like Spider-Man.
What are you doing?
I didn't want you to find me,
Why?
because I know I'm in trouble.
Oh, dude, you're not in trouble. I just wanted to talk.
Really?
Yeah. Now come on.
As they sat down, Lydia took a moment, not knowing how to explain the situation, so she went along with what she could use.
Beetlejuice, do you remember anything about the Maitlands' lives before they died?
Hearing that, the demon couldn't help but roll his eyes, thinking that that was a really stupid question.
Lids, I've been living on this land since it was nothing but a cave. I don't remember everything that has happened in my life.
Okay, well, I'm gonna explain why those white roses were so important to them. When Barbara and Adam got married, they knew right away they wanted to have kids. But they were having a hard time getting pregnant, along with keeping up with the problems of the house. They wanted to live a life like something from a home and garden magazine, but that wasn't turning out so well.
Adam, the woodchucks are back. Adam, the pipes are leaking. Adam, the toilet's backed up.
Oh, God, what did we do to deserve this?
And just as things couldn't get any worse, Adam came home one day and found his wife not looking too good.
Barbara, honey, are you okay? What's wrong? Sweetie, I'm making a doctor's appointment. Just hold tight. God, whatever I did, please, I'm sorry. Please don't take away the love of my life from me. Please. Are you sure you're okay with this?
Adam, I'll be fine. Besides, a lot of women work while being pregnant. It's gonna be okay.
I know, but still, seeing how life has been treating us, knowing it took this long, I can't help but worry.
Well, don't. Everything is going to be okay. You'll see. We'll have the bills paid, this baby is gonna come out healthy, and we're gonna be a happy family for the rest of our lives.
Hearing that, Adam started to trust her, really believing that she was right. But what he didn't know was that her job was really stressful and she didn't want to tell him, knowing that they really needed the money. She was working at a coffee shop, which was a nightmare every day. It was always something. Businessmen wanting their coffees hotter, soccer moms wanting cookies for their children but not wanting to pay for them, and non-stop asking for the manager. Barbara tried to do what she could to handle it without letting it get the best of her, but she couldn't help it, which led her to start feeling weird. Later that night, as they were asleep, Barbara woke up in a ton of pain. Not only that, but there was blood all over the bed.
Adam, honey, wake up!
Barbara, why can't we do it with a bonnet tonight?
Adam, wake up!
Sweetheart, are you okay? What's wrong?
I think something's wrong with the baby. I'm in a lot of pain and blood. Look!
Oh my gosh! Okay, I'm gonna call 911. We're gonna see the doctor, and everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna have this baby. Don't worry.
She wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that that was true, but she knew it was too late and it was all her fault. As days passed by, things were not getting easier. Adam had to hold off on making cribs and bassinets for customers, knowing that it would cause him to break down whenever he tried to build them. But Barbara was even worse. She couldn't help but replay that night in her head, and the ashes sitting on the fireplace mantle were not helping. Every time she passed by it or just looked at it, she could almost hear what sounded like a baby's cry, as if she was being haunted by her unborn child. And things were not getting better with her mental health. One day when Adam came back from the garage, He saw her in the kitchen with what looked like her rocking a baby, knowing that the last time he saw her, she was making dinner, and whatever was in her arms scared him because it was wrapped up in a towel, so he couldn't see a face or hand or anything, which left him scared. Knowing that their neighbor just had a baby, he knew that his wife wasn't doing good with the loss, but he didn't think that she would go this far.
Barbara? Honey? What are you doing?
I'm just rocking the baby to sleep.
Okay. Do you mind if I take a look at the little guy?
Oh, sure. Just don't wake him up, okay?
Oh, don't worry. I won't.
When he unwrapped the towel, it was worse than he thought. It was not a baby at all. It was a deformed carrot that kind of looked like it had the body of a baby. Adam knew that he had to get her some help before it was too late. When they went to see a therapist, she had the idea to take the ashes and put them in a pot when she was planting some flowers, as a way of their baby still being alive and taking care of her in another form. That advice really helped Barbara a lot, making Adam happy to have his wife again. But now, BJ, because of what you did, their child is no longer alive. Those roses were the only thing they had left.
After hearing the story, Beetlejuice felt horrified about what he did. He had to do what he could to make it up to them. After a few days passed, the Maitlands were still heartbroken about what had happened, and when BJ walked into the room to say something to them, the couple didn't even look at him.
Guys, I wanted to say I'm sorry for what I did. And after learning why these roses were so important to you, I feel terrible.
The couple still didn't look up. Instead, their body language just said, "Whatever you say doesn't bring our child back."
But I know a way to get your baby back from the netherworld.
Adam's head picked up, willing to try anything just so his wife didn't have another breakdown.
Really?
Yeah, I was talking to Miss Argentina, and she said she's willing to help you guys.
Well, I don't know. Barbara?
Barbara just sat there, unsure about the idea, but she guessed that it would be better than nothing.
I guess it wouldn't hurt.
So they went off to the netherworld and went to the main building that ran everything, and when they found Miss Argentina's office, they knocked on the door.
Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Maitland, please come in and sit down.
Yes. We were told you would help us find our baby.
Yes, ever since Mrs. Shogot left, we've bet some of the rules around here and made things easier. Now let's get started.
She said as she pushed her desk chair to a file cabinet. She pulled out a drawer and started flipping through files.
Now, when did you have the miscarriage?
Hearing that word, Barbara's heart broke into pieces and she started to cry on Adam's shoulder.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It was November 18th, 2018.
Uh-huh, and did you have a gender and a name?
She's a girl and her name is Susie.
After a few questions were answered, the file was found, but Miss Argentina started looking through. The information was unsettling.
Oh dear.
What? What's wrong?
Oh, nothing. It's just... It says here that your child is known to be troubled.
Troubled?
She hasn't been adopted yet, not even staying in a foster home. The nurses are scared to feed her. The list just goes on and on.
After hearing that, the Maitlands looked at each other worried that this was a bad idea. As they headed to the nursery, Barbara couldn't help but ask something.
Miss Argentina, do you mind me asking on how things work around here when it comes to adoption?
Oh, Beetlejuice didn't tell you? Well, almost every day a baby comes to the netherworld for every kind of reason. At first we didn't know what to do with them since they needed a lot of care and we didn't have the time for it. Then we came up with the idea for couples who wanted to have children but never got the chance when they were alive to have them here, and it's been working great.
Oh, well, that's really sweet.
When they finally got to the nursery, which looked like the ones you'd see in a hospital, it was huge. Like, as far as the eye could see, huge. And the nurses were still bringing new babies in. It was crazy. The Maitlands were wondering if they were ever going to find their daughter, but after an hour passed, they found her. When they saw her, she was nothing like what the file said. She wasn't a monster or ugly or anything. She was beautiful, with big blue eyes, curly blonde hair, and rosy cheeks. It was almost like she was made from a child star factory. She was that perfect. But they started to wonder if there was a catch.
Oh, I keep forgetting about this. Sorry. Around here, the monsters have this way of believing anything that's beautiful or well-mannered is rude and ugly. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how we are here.
So there's nothing wrong with her?
Nope, she's as normal as can be.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, well, let's go back to my office to sign some papers. You'll have your baby in about 9 months and...
9 months?!
I don't understand why we can't just have her now.
Mr. and Mrs. Maitland, I told you that we've been changing some rules around here. And bringing an unborn soul into the human world is too dangerous. And knowing that she's been here this long, God knows what part of the world of the dead is still in her. We're just going to be doing some tests, checkups and all that stuff. That way she can be a normal living human being and do things that normal living humans do. Understand?
Barbara understood, but she still didn't want to let go of her baby.
Honey, it's just for a few months. And besides, we have to get the house ready for her since the only thing we have is a crib.
She knew that he was right, but before they left, she wanted to say goodbye.
Bye, sweetie. Don't worry. Mama will be back for you very, very soon.
So they headed back to the human world and talked to the Deets about this. They were upset, wishing that they had talked to them about this sooner, knowing that they were running out of rooms in the house. But since Lydia was heading off to college soon, she told them that the baby could have her room.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, this baby means everything to them. Until then, I can just sleep on the couch.
The couple hearing that, they were almost in tears. This was the most responsible thing that Lydia had ever done, so after a few months went by, everyone was getting ready, and when the day finally came, the doorbell rang. As Lydia answered it, she couldn't believe what she was looking at.
Barbara, Adam, you may want to come look at this.
As the Maitlands came to the door, they were all shocked as well. They saw a stork who looked like he'd been through hell. His feathers were falling off, he was shaking really badly. One eye was almost swollen shut with pus leaking out of it, and the other one looked like it was about to pop out of its socket. He was here to bring them their baby. As he tried to put her down, he was having a hard time doing so because of the twitching which left Barbara scared that the bird was going to drop her. So she took her. As they were about to head inside, they suddenly heard a creepy voice that sounded like someone was drowning in their own blood. It was the stork.
Hey, what about my tip?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Adam said as he pulled out his wallet.
How much do you want?
I don't want money. I want you to kill me. Please, I'm in a shit ton of pain here.
Oh. Sorry, we don't do that.
Come on, I'm not asking for much. Just stomp on my head, shoot me, anything.
Sorry, Birdie, no. Hope you feel better soon.
Adam said as he slowly shut the doors.
Jerks.
The stork said as he flew away. When everyone finally got to see the baby, they were in love with her and wanted to do what they could to help out. Charles being the only one who knew how to take care of a baby, he was nice enough to give them some advice. As the days went on, some were perfect and some were bad, but the only thing that everyone could agree that they disliked about Susie were her cries in the middle of the night. They were not like the normal baby cries, they were like something from a horror film. All night long with the haunted screaming just for a bottle left everyone in the house having nightmares, and the couple was thinking about bringing her back to the netherworld just to get that fixed. But after learning from Delia, who had adopted Beetlejuice and loved him for who he was, they decided to do the same. She may not be perfect, but she was still their baby.